Almost 10 years ago, Qatar won the bid to host the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Australia came last, only receiving one single vote. This month, FIFA will decide who will host the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, with 4 bids competing for that privilege. Australia will be bidding alongside New Zealand and will be up against Brazil, Colombia, and Japan. Due to the success of last year's World Cup, the tournament will expand from 24 to 32 teams. Australia and New Zealand's bid was initially 2 separate bids but combined in December last year. It would be the first time that a FIFA event would be held across 2 separate confederations. Australia is currently the highest ranked team among the 5 bidding countries. The bid has put forward 8 stadiums across 7 cities, including a rebuilt Sydney Football Stadium and a renovated Stadium Australia. They will be joined by 5 stadiums across the Tasman, including the famous Eden Park. Japan will be Australia and New Zealand's main competitor, being home to the 2011 World Cup winners, the only Asian team to do so and the only champions among the bidding nations. Japan's bid consists of 8 stadiums, including 3 used in the 2002 FIFA World Cup and the new national stadium in Tokyo built for the 2020 Summer Olympics. There are 2 bids in South America, including Colombia, who are putting forward 10 stadiums. Both bids are in the lucrative North American time zone, which will be favourable to FIFA. Finally, Brazil is the other South American bid, which will use 8 stadiums, all built or renovated for the 2014 FIFA World Cup, including the legendary Maracanã. Brazil have also recently hosted the last Summer Olympics, but both events have been marred by allegations of corruption. With less than a month to go before the decision, fans will be eager to know how Australia and New Zealand currently fare against the competition. Women's football journalist Samantha Lewis says we should be confident in Australia and New Zealand's chances.
We're basically in pole position now. And a lot of that has got to do with, I think, what's happened over the last couple of months. I mean, the COVID-19 pandemic has sort of thrown a spanner in a lot of works, and it has sort of highlighted a lot of the, I guess, the sort of the deep-rooted problems in a number of the nations who are actually bidding. The Australian-New Zealand joint bid is perhaps the strongest in a number of different ways. I mean, one of its great strength really is its emphasis on gender equality. It's really the bid that seems to fully appreciate the role that sport can play, sort of a force for social good and for cultural change. So I'm confident. I think a lot of other people are quietly confident, but again, it's FIFA. We never really know how these things are going to work. You know, you saw when the 2022 Men's World Cup was announced in Qatar, that sort of came as quite a shock to a lot of people because it was not at all considered a suitable nation to host it. So the politics that happen in terms of this voting is a very different sort of beast to what the actual bids present.
A successful bid would leave a lasting legacy for Australia and New Zealand, both on and off the pitch.
Hosting a Women's World Cup would have 2 sort of really significant impacts on both countries. The first is obviously the economic impact. So both governments are really supportive of trying to get this bid up and running and wanting to win it because they know that the amount of money it could generate, not just from tourism, from fans coming to Australia and New Zealand and spending money, but also from sponsorships, from broadcasters, and from leaning into a lot of markets that I think women's football hasn't really tapped into quite as much yet. So Southeast Asia and Oceania in particular. You know, having something like that in our own backyard would generate a huge number of fans. And you know, the women and girls sport community got the greatest potential, I think, of any other community sort of in the world. So if you're able to give them a product like a World Cup, you're able to inspire basically a whole new generation of fans to become interested in your sport. And the second thing on top of the economic impact would be the cultural impact. Having the visibility and the accessibility of women's sport in the format of a World Cup, of having international teams come to a place like Australia, New Zealand, and being able to broadcast those images to, you know, millions and millions of people, possibly billions of people, which is what we saw in the 2019 World Cup. Over 1 billion people tuned in to watch it. having that sort of exposure for women's sport is so important. It's more than about the sport. It's more than about what happens on the field. It's about sending a message about equality and inclusion, and diversity, and the importance of those things, not just to Australian culture, but to world culture. We live in a very divisive, a very fractured world at the moment. And I think sport has a really unique ability to bring people and communities together.
FIFA will vote on the hosts of the 2023 Women's World Cup on the 25th of June. Will Moody reporting for The Lockdown.